Oh, hello. Many of you may know me as Mr. Adama, Christian school teacher. But if not, I'm Mr. Adama, a Christian school teacher. Here's my staff badge. And I have a shirt. But I'm also married to this wonderful lady. And we have these 3 wonderful kids. And we choose to send them to a Christian school. And that's not cheap. It's about $25,000 for the 3 of them per year. And we make about $75,000 as a family per year. Now, we do get some help from school, which we are incredibly grateful for.
I love you! I love you!
But we're still paying the lion's share. You know, the majority. What a crazy decision to commit 1/3 of your income to schooling when there are great free schools in the neighborhood. I mean, do you know what I could do with that kind of extra money? I could drive a new Camaro every other year. Or I could take an exotic trip to the Maldives every year and bring someone. I could finally buy enough M&Ms to make me happy. Or to put it in terms kids would understand, I could buy a new iPhone every month with AirPods. People always ask me, Mr. Adama, how do I live the $100,000 lifestyle on $50,000? Well, I have a little DIY tip for you. AirPods, they're all the rage these days, so get yourself a pair of white headphones like these. You can get them at a store. And get yourself a pair of scissors like these. You can get them from your mom.
Your mom goes to college.
Then take those white headphones, trim those wires right off. Boom! AirPods. But we don't do public schooling. We do this, Christian education. So the question is why? What are the reasons? What would compel us to choose that in the middle of a society that values material gain and status symbols of wealth? Well, let's find out.
Please won't you be my neighbor?
Let's do this. Leroy Dragons!
Oh, hello. I'm Mr. Adama. New haircut. Don't worry, it'll miraculously grow back in the next segment. If you think I'm here to tell you that Christian schools are holy and perfect and basically heaven on earth, then you're wrong. Not even close. In fact, every Christian school just tied a record for number of sinners in the building. 100%.
It's party time!
No, stop. That's not a good record to set.
Disappointed!
100%? That's a fact. You'll still find all the typical school sins in a Christian school. Bullying, gossiping, underage drinking, drug use. But research shows they're likely to occur at lower levels in Christian and private schools. A Schools and Staffing 2012 survey found they're less likely to have personal conflicts, students using illegal drugs, gang-related activities, student possession of weapons, metal detectors, clear backpack requirements, and so on. All things which detract from a healthy school culture. On average, a student in a Christian school is going to be exposed to sexual, drug, and alcohol possibilities about 3 years later than a student in a public school. For me, that's a significant difference. That might give my child the time they need to hear and be taught about these things, and the time to mature and make the wise and right decision. And when poor choices are made, there's a system in place that seeks to administer justice, to teach holy living, and to practice restoration. And that matters to me too. But there is one danger associated with all this safety business: the bubble. The bubble syndrome.
Ever seen a kid in a bubble before?
My cousin's in a bubble.
A bubble.
A bubble?
Yes, a bubble.
The bubble. A desire for safety when motivated by fear and control can lead to the creation of a micro-society, a bubble, where students don't experience the real world, or they lack the awareness and the ability to empathize with all of the world's problems. And that's a valid criticism of Christian schools. That makes service requirements, mission trips, class trips, guest speakers, and teachers who are willing to introduce difficult topics so critical for our students' development both spiritually and intellectually. Those keep us connected to the world around us as they allow for air holes in our bubble. Christian schools can be safe places, but they can't be isolated places, or you lose sight of the long-term vision of sending people out to change the world.
Is that on?
Oh, hello. Good academics aren't exclusive to Christian schools, but it is something they excel at. I think there's a synergy. That was cool. I think there's a synergy between the home and the school when parents are investing this much in their child's education. There's a partnership involved. Teachers have high standards for student work and student work ethic, and parents are committed to reinforcing that at home. When this happens year after year after year, students develop good habits and great skills across multiple subjects. That's a win-win.
The important difference here is with win-win-win, we all win.
But I mean, you don't have to take my word for it. Look at these graphs.
Look at this graph.
This graph shows average ACT scores for Granville Calvin Christian and Granville Public over a 4-year time span. And for South Christian, and for Unity Christian, and for Holland Christian. And this one compares that Christian school average to statewide averages and national averages. This is good. The school where I work at has a mission for students of loving, learning, and serving. And being a capable, well-educated person is a large part of achieving that goal. But you don't have to take my word for it. Look at these people.
Look at this
People.
How did Calvin Christian High School prepare me academically for college? Well, I would say that the academic rigor at Calvin Christian High School is definitely more challenging than other schools around here, but it definitely prepares you well for college.
We had a tough curriculum and the teachers really sat down with you and explained it, just like didn't make you memorize what things were, they really explained what it was.
And the teachers really push you here and they want you to succeed. A lot of the classes my freshman year were a lot of just recovering what we did already my junior, senior year in high school, even sophomore year.
Like the first couple weeks is like all the basics that we learn in high school, so it's an easier transition.
Even though we didn't cover everything, we didn't even cover close to what I learned in college, but just knowing how to think in that way really made like the adjustment to college way easier.
Many of my friends who went to public schools were pretty overwhelmed by the academic workload.
I found a lot of my friends didn't even know how to study. They never had studied in high school. And so like when they got to college, they sat down to study for a huge exam and they had no idea what to do. And they wasted so much time just trying to like organize their thoughts. And I found that I had already learned how to do that.
I felt so prepared and I could allocate other time to my other subjects where I wasn't as familiar with.
Hi, I'm Taylor Lautner, and it's inappropriate that I don't have a shirt on. That's better. I'm famous for being handsome. You know what else is handsome? Christian schools. Hi, I'm Kylie Jenner. You know what's good? Lettuce. You know what's also good? Christian schools. Mr. Jewett, right. Christian schools? Yeah. Yeah, they're great. Right. Right. Oh, hello. A Christian school can be up to 15 years of your life. But what I've noticed in my years of teaching in one is that it can extend way beyond that time. When you attend a Christian school, you become a part of a larger community. And that can have significant impacts on you. You might make friends that last your entire lifetime. Friends that worship the same God as you, that have the same values as you, that can inspire and support you, and keep you holy and accountable. You might even make and meet the love of your life. Am I right, Zach? Am I right? I'm right. But you don't have to take my word for it. Look at these people.
Life's sweetest reward. Let it flow. It floats back to you. Soon we'll be making another run.
Beyond relationships, you might also make a lot of professional contacts. Job opportunities, internships, businesses and services you know and support and use because you know and trust the people that own and work for them. I mean, here's just a few examples of how I've been impacted being a part of this community. I've got people to help fix my car. And I've got people to help me buy a guitar. I've got people that give me wise investment advice. And I've got people that make my hair look really nice. I've got insurance for when my problems abound. And people to help me.
Jump around. Jump up and get down.
The community aspect can be subtle, and it can be a what you make of it type of benefit. But it's something I want my children to experience and be a part of. Something that forms them spiritually and relationally and professionally. And I want them to have access and exposure to that. So I do value it.
The biggest thing that I missed about Calvin Christian High School was the school community as well as the faculty. You won't find another community like this. I think that we often take it for granted and we say, oh, I don't like Calvin Christian High School. I wanna go to college. And I felt the same way, but looking back on it, I miss the relationships I had with the community and the faculty. And I think that you don't find that again.
Look at this graph. Oh, hello. Many people have the mistaken impression that Christian schools are just school with a Bible class and a chapel tacked on. Now, this isn't true at all, and I'll address that in a bit. But that doesn't mean we don't have Bible classes or chapels. We do. We also have morning devotions, small group discussion, school-wide service projects, and the ability to pray at any time and anywhere. What an opportunity. Because we're not publicly funded, we don't have to have separation of church and state. This allows us to incorporate all of these vital Christian practices into our routines. I want that for my children. I want them to be able to share their prayer requests. I want them to learn how to pray. I want them to study the Old and New Testaments. I want them to learn about the Reformed faith, and I want them to have opportunities to sing praises to the God that made them with their fellow believers. I love it. I love it all. It's so valuable. Oh, hello. Students think teachers are like aliens. But they're not. They're just like their students. They like to hang out, just like their students. But Christian school teachers are also kind of crazy. They generally make less than public school teachers, but many of them devote more of their lives to the school and the community. They teach, they coach, they mentor, they go on trips, they attend events. They care about the academic and spiritual growth of their students. These are people that love Jesus. But you don't have to take my word for it. Listen to these people.
Look at this
People.
I love Jesus.
Amo a Jesus.
I love Jesus, y'all.
I love Jesus.
I'm Lauren Van Single, and I love Jesus.
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 I love Jesus. I love Jesus.
I love Jesus.
I love Jesus.
I love Jesus.
I love Jesus.
I love Jesus.
I love Jesus.
I love Jesus!
And it's these people that I want having significant influence on my own children. People that love God and love their students. People who pray for them daily and weekly. People who will sit and listen to them, but who will also take them to the ends of the earth or below it. They're the heart and soul of the school, and one of the biggest reasons that I'm committed to having Christian education for my children. Oh, hello. We're finally here. Our last reason. I mentioned earlier that Christian schools are more than just schools plus a Bible class and a chapel. Christian schools are the integration of Christian thought into every subject and activity. Abraham Kuyper famously declared, "There is not a square inch in the whole domain of our human existence over which Christ, who is sovereign over all, does not cry, 'Mine.'" The founders of Christian schools took this to heart. Our grandparents and great-grandparents and those before them worked to create schools where a Christian worldview influences what and how things are taught, from PE to political science, and they still function that way today. In our science classes, where we can explore with awe and wonder God's creation in an attempt to understand it, so that we can learn how to care for it. In math classes, where we learn the literal language of God that governs every law in our universe. In language arts, where we learn to write, create, and express ourselves to the full gifting that God's given us, and to appreciate and recognize these gifts in people throughout history. In the social sciences, where we learn how God has worked through history, controlling kings and countries, and promoting justice and human rights, while also recognizing and learning from the effects of humanity's sin in this world. In art and engineering, we put on a display of all the creative gifts that have been given to us as we reflect our Creator. In band, orchestra, and choir, we develop the musical talents given for worship, praise, exaltation, and exploring the depth of human emotions. In the gym and after school, we steward our bodies into health and competition in a way that represents Christ to others and celebrates the physical gifts we've been put in charge of. But it's more than just subject specific. It's a mindset in all things, that all of our effort, in the classroom, in our homework, on the stage, and on the field, is an act of worship to God. All of life is worship. My wife and I made a promise when we baptized our children that we would make every effort to raise them in the Christian faith. And Christian schooling completes the triangle of church, home, and school, the three areas that have the biggest impact on their lives. And as for all the money it takes, I still have more than I need. In fact, I have many of my wants and desires. I think I have enough guitars. I think I have enough bikes. It's maybe even possible that I have enough M&Ms. I only feel lacking when I compare myself to others, which sounds more like a me problem than a money problem. Honestly, what more important things can I invest my money in than my own children? Christian education will not only impact them, it'll impact their children and generations to come. What a great reward! Isn't that worth more than a better car, a bigger house, or more pizza?
Perfect pizza. Give me pizza! P-I-C-C-A.
Pizza's pretty good, but probably not. So to sum it all up, there's safety, academics, Christian community, Christian practices, Christian teachers, and most importantly, Christian worldview. Those are some of the reasons I send my kids to a Christian school. And if you're a student watching this today and it's made an impact on you, go home tonight and thank your parents for the willingness and the sacrifices they've made to send you to a Christian school. If you're a parent watching this, thank you. And if you're an executive for the M&M company, look man, I've given you a lot of free advertising during this film, so I think like a kickback is in order. Good day!